Good morning. This is Laura. This is the 5th item that I've made for the 100 Things Challenge. I call this the Very Big Bed. It is a journal, and what I used in a previous video, I showed you the second bag of items, and what out of those items what I used is the remainder of a Laura Ashley book that I bought at a library book sale for 10 cents. There was some heavy cardboard. I used that for the cover. This was fabric. Everything else I had already had. So let me show you about the book. I'm really pleased with the way it came out. So here's the tie. Okay. These were some old, I think they're from the 80s. And I had two that looked alike. Some sort of jewelry findings. So I used that as the clasp. This is an old vintage collar, lace collar. It had some staining on it, and I bought that years ago at a thrift shop. These are game pieces. They already had the words on them, and I just embellished them with stickles and ink. So let me open this up. Okay, so what I did was, these are the pages of the Laura Ashley book, and I made pocket pages. And then some of the smaller images I made tags. So it's a huge tag book. These words are some of the Tim Holtz little words that you can buy. I really like those. That one says wishing you happiness. And then here's a tag. And these were just some of the smaller images that were not big enough to make a page. And I'm going to go ahead, instead of trying to fight putting them back in, I'll just take them out and put them in later. Here's another one. With brave wings she flies. And I used some of my, finally in my other video I talked about my terrible button collection that I have. Well, I finally got out and I started using some of my vintage buttons. I used distress ink on the edges. This was also in the bag of stuff. This is that older scrapbook paper. I've probably had this scrapbook paper 10 years, and it actually works well with these colors. If you remember Laura Ashley, she was really big in the 80s. Everybody was decorating their houses with her. It's almost like, you know, big cabbage roses. This is magnolia, but a lot of that design. Here's a picture out of the book. And then, of course, on the back, you can journal. And some vintage buttons. Let's see, and that's that page. And then you go to the next one. And then, so what I did was I backed 2 pages and I sewed them to make a pocket. And then to attach it into the book, every journal is a learning experience. This journal was very hard to put together. I tried one method of an accordion fold with paper and it didn't work, and I had to quickly pull it apart. And so what I did was I took some more of the same fabric that I covered the book with, and I did this and made like a hinge system. Here's another little tag. And that one says, I feel so lucky. And does this necessarily mean anything? No, it's just a little tag. This says, lucky is a state of mind. And this one says, I put everyday delight. I like that picture. This was hand-painted cabinets that was in that book. The images are very beautiful, so why not enjoy them and look at them? They were too big to cut. Like, if I try to cut that image out, that little chair, there's really no impact. But, you know, with the whole page, it's very nice. That was a smaller image, not distress inked. And then to the next one. That says, everything has beauty. I thought that was, this was a kitchen scene. Thought that was good. And then, see yourself, because there was a mirror. Here's another tag. In fact, I think this was on, this is in that same room, but it was on a different page. And I had some of the little pieces of the same fabric left, and I just made little tags at the top and put buttons and a little bit of old lace that I had. Stay Thankful. This was some vintage seam binding, and I just glued it on and added some buttons. Some more of that old scrapbook paper. It says Wander. Start each day with a grateful heart. I thought that was good because it was a breakfast table. And this is just little scraps of extra scrapbook paper that I already had. All these can be written on. More buttons that I glued on. Right here. I think this is, I love the coloration in this picture. This is one of my favorites. It has bookshelves, so I put Your Story. And I just have a couple of those books of Tim Holtz words, and I just would look at the picture, then kind of flip through and find things that made some sense, and then put them on there. I even use, see, this is even some of the smaller images in the book. And I put, Darling, You Are a Work of Art, and another little scrap. And I like different colors together. I don't like everything to be too matchy-matchy. I like colorful. But this is actually one of the more subdued books. This is pretty subdued for me. Count Your Blessings. Here's another little card. I made a little just a little scrap, and then I put the word calm since it was a bathroom. And a little vintage button. Down on the back there's another image. Let's see. Some more of that scrapbook paper. And I just used some old vintage binding lace that I have in one of the images. And so what I would do is I would kind of find a color that was in the picture, and I would try to get something sort of matching to make the card out of. See, and I tend not to use this lace that has this gathered edge, so I'm glad I used it, and I'm using it up. And there's a big vintage button. I love the coloration in this picture. I think this is one of my favorite ones. And I put Family Blessings and some more vintage buttons. Made that card, some of that lace. This green stuff right here, I used up every bit of it that I had in this book, so that kind of makes me happy that I used something up. This was another image out of the book, and I thought that was cute because it had a unicycle, so I had this scrapbook paper that was in that stack with bicycles. And then I had some little baby vintage rickrack, and I thought that was kind of a cute circusy theme. Here's another image, because in the book they showed you how to do different painting techniques, and I thought that was a good picture. And that's just some of the fabric that was left over, and I just used it to make a little ribbon tie. I like that it's frayed. Oh, this one says Small Hearts. This is this page, and I put these buttons. This is a child's bedroom, so I thought that would be cute. Small Hearts. And then on this one I put Collect Beautiful Moments. I like this. This is kind of a young boy or a teenage boy's room. See. More scrapbook paper, just some old vintage seam binding. I glued it on both sides, glued a vintage button that I had, and just used stain and the picture. More of the paper I have. That was out of the book. I thought that was interesting with the canes. And so I wanted to make this card kind of masculine. So I did use some lace, but then I put this seam binding, this green seam binding, because both of those colors are in these numbers. So I thought that was good. And I just distress inked it. Got to use some of my distress inks that colors that are brand new to me. Haven't used them before. Okay. And then this page, I put Within Your World. This was a very beautiful picture. It had hand painted. This was like it covered the fireplace in that room. And here was another image in that book. Live Every Day with Intention. And just some more. See that one, the glue's still not dry. but that's alright. Some more little vintage buttons. And then this one right here. I like those colors together, the green, the teal green and the pink. I just put some more rickrack and a button. Lots of places to journal in here. Here's another one. This was just smaller images. I didn't really like the image that was on this one. It was too dark, so I just put this old vintage binding on this side. And then on that one, look, the glue. Oh, gotta leave that one out, let it dry some more. See, I just finished this book up for y'all. And here's another card. Very cute. This was two-sided. This was in that scrapbook paper. This is actually was in a Christmas, believe it or not. You can tell on this side was a Christmas scrapbook section. But to me, that color is not really Christmassy. It's more like a mint green. So, and let's see, this one says, give comfort. Well, you get comfort in the bathroom. And I like that because it's that doorway. It's an entryway. So I put noble possibility. Does it mean anything? No, not really. But it's interesting. And then with it having a window, I put this one. It says, see possibility everywhere. And I actually signed it. I was watching a video the other day and someone said people need to start signing their work. So I signed my little book. Here's this one. I like that image. And then on the back, I just put this scrap of paper. And this one, it says, keep some room in your heart for the unimaginable. More distress ink. I'm just learning how to do a lot of this stuff. And then this is the last page. I love the coloring in this picture. It says, fall in love with as many things as possible. And then here's another little card. That was from that children's room. I just put a little piece of seam binding and I put an eyelet. And then this was just some more, just little tiny bits of images left, and I just put some seam binding. I gathered it and then glued it, and then I glued two of these little vintage buttons. And then here's the back. And you can see this is the back of the collar. I even left the button on. That's how it attached. And that's the back. I really like it. It's very much, this is not really my style right now, but that's good. That's always good to kind of get out of your comfort zone. These colors are not normally me. I'm usually very bright colors, primary and jewel tones, but I really like it. This was a scrap of fabric I already had that I've had for years, so that's wonderful that it's finally getting used. But anyway, so that's number 5 in the 100 Things Challenge. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.